My name is Aston Whittingham, and I'm a 10th grader at Sports and Medical Science Academy. Today, here I have with me is Mr. Jay Harris. He's a sports anchor at ESPN. Mr. Harris, thank you for taking your time to be with us today.
For sure.
Since you're here, I have some questions for you. What does being a sports anchor entail? Like what do you do on the job?
Depending on which show I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So I get in 3 hours before the show on 9 a.m. Dump my stuff at my desk, walk to the newsroom, and sit down and log onto the computer. And the producer, who's been there for maybe about 45 minutes before me, has already laid out the show and assigned what me or my co-anchor will write or do. And for the next, hour or hour and a half, that's what I do. Write, and we talk about things, order the show, questions for segments, researcher puts notes in, and the things that I don't write, I will go in and edit and change to put in my voice. And I'll write and rewrite and write and rewrite until the show's done. I check it, and I'll go over my shot sheets, my highlights from the night before, or what's happening that day. And then you go on the air. And if you're fortunate, everything that you've prepared is what you'll do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, as you're walking from the newsroom to the studio, you'll have breaking news. And we'll put our earpiece and microphone on. The producer will get on our ear and say, such and such just happened, or blah, blah, blah. So everything that we prepare for the A's, forget about it. We're not doing it. We'll just go ad-lib show.
So you said you have breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Does that ever, what if there's a story that you want to tell that, you're desperate to tell the people, but then you have to change it up? Does that ever affect, your feelings or something?
Well, if something I really worked on and wrote and I real good lead into whatever, and then they kill it, I can't. There's nothing to do about it. Maybe if it's not specific to that day, I can bring it back another day. Maybe, but there've been many times I'm like, no, and it goes away. And there's nothing you can do about it.
So, my next question is, what's the path you took to become a sports anchor, to become where you're at?
I started as I majored in communications at Old Dominion. In the 11th grade is when I decided I wanted to be a journalist. I took a career aptitude test, and I scored well in the area of interpersonal skills. I looked at the jobs, and I think journalist was the third one listed. And I was on the yearbook staff at the time, and I liked writing and talking. I said, that's what I'll be. So I kind of had tunnel vision. After it took me a while to get a job, my first job was as a radio news reporter and anchor in Portsmouth, Virginia.
And how old were you doing that?
Ooh, how old was I? 22, 3?
Okay. So after high school?
After high school, after college. Yeah. But it was working for free. Basically, it was a glorified internship.
So just volunteering?
Yeah. But I was getting good experience. And that's what I was working in DC at the time, and I had a job. I didn't really like it, but I was making money. And I called a buddy of mine in Virginia, who was a news director. He just retired as a TV anchor. And I said, this is what I want to do. Can you help me? And so I can give you plenty of experience. If I can't pay any money, I just don't have it in the budget. So I chose making zero and getting experience over making, $16,000 a year doing something I didn't want to do.
So you said that's what you wanted to do. So you said in the 11th grade you took a test?
A career aptitude test.
So what made you know that you wanted to do that by 11th grade?
I like writing. I like talking. I like telling stories. And it just seemed like, well, if that's what you want to do, journalist is probably what you want to be. So, there.
So what made you want to become a sports journalist?
I didn't want to.
Not a news journalist? I
didn't want to. I didn't want to do sports.
Why not?
Because, all right. So I started radio in Virginia, moved to Pittsburgh doing local radio, and did national radio in Pittsburgh. And that Pittsburgh is where I started my TV career too. First as part-time, and then as a general assignment reporter, weekend anchor, and then main anchor for the Fox affiliate up there. And I was cool being a news person because I wasn't thinking globally. I was thinking locally. I was thinking news, and this is what I'm doing.
Since you said you have a lot of fun on the job.
Oh, every day.
So what's the best moment? Your favorite moment?
I remember the first time I was walking down the hallway, and Magic Johnson was at the vending machine when he was working with us as an analyst. And I looked up and I saw it's Magic Johnson. I'm like, it's Magic Johnson. I say, hey man, how you doing? I'm a big fan. And he said, I'm a big fan of yours too. And inside I'm like, Magic Johnson knows who I am. And meeting people like that and finding out that they watch and enjoy what I do. And it's always been, I enjoy doing it, for the fam and for the boy and the girl. Well, the girl don't watch. Heck, the boy don't watch no more anyway. They just take my money. That's what they do. They don't even watch the show. But meeting people is fun. Traveling is a lot of fun. The actual mechanics of putting a show together is fun to me. Writing is still fun.
Like behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's still fun to me. Just seeing how it all comes together. It still amazes me that this thing that was in the computer that we were just working on an hour ago is now on television. And I stood up the other day in the studio. I just looked around and saw the Sports Center and blah, blah, blah. And my partner, Hannah Storm, was talking to Louis Riddick, and Adam Schefter was sitting in front of me. I'm like, this is the Nerve Center. This is sports media. And I'm right here in the middle of it. This is a cool place to be.
You said when you met Magic Johnson, he said he knew you. How does it feel that like millions of people every day see your face?
I try not to think about it.
So that just goes out.
But yes, when the show starts, I don't think about it anyway. I'm just talking to Hannah or Adam or Louis or whoever's there. And when I look at the camera, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to one person, because you try to have the interpersonal communication. Like I don't say good evening everyone, because it's not everyone. Because it's just one. When I'm watching television and someone says that good evening everyone, I'm like, ain't nobody here but me. Who was everyone?
So was it like that when you first started? You weren't nervous at all?
No, when I first started, I was really nervous. Sometimes I'll get a little nervous now, depending on what's going on, like this breaking news, someone dies, huge story, because I don't want to mess it up. I want to be respectful of the story, not because of my performance or anything. But a little jitter's always good. So
when did like the ice break where you're like, this is what I'm doing?
It's still breaking. Nervous. It is still breaking. I would go through, I don't know, monthly periods where something would just feel right in my stomach. Kind of like, you're a basketball player. When you finally get your left hand right or your right hand right, or you can go through your legs or something, you can shuffle your feet and you can stop somebody from driving to the hole. When you figure that out, it's like, okay, I can play now. I can do this now. Like when you grow 6 inches, like, okay, I can jump and I can dunk. Just little stuff like that. So
Now, how do you feel about like kids wanting to be a journalist?
With technology and everything is so immediate, people want to get in and like, when can I get a job at ESPN? Well, you can't. Not starting out. You have to go someplace like way over there and get a job and start out, and then you work there, and then maybe you can work there, and then maybe you could send your reel to ESPN, and they might like you and they might not. They might tell you need to go to work there and get some more experience. And somewhere along the line, you might like there better than here. I have many friends who have this dream of going to here, and they stop here and they meet someone, they start a family, and they like the community, and that's what they do. And that's fine too. So I tell them, this is what you really want to do. Be ready to work. Be ready to be poor for a while, because you ain't gonna make no money. But make sure that you are always on. You present yourself on air, off air, conventions, networking, as someone that is hireable and likable, and someone will remember, memorable. Do you have any more questions for me?
No, thank you.
I don't have any questions for you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.